Hey guys, welcome to TWHD, thanks for stopping by. In this video I'm going to be looking at the AirPods versus the AirPod Pros. I'll talk about the differences, my opinions on each, and which ones I prefer out of the two models. Before we get going, there is just something I'd like to point out, and that's the AirPods that I am using are the version 1s, not the version 2. There's very little difference between the two beyond the fact that version 2 does have Siri integration. But I wanted to just make sure that you are aware that the version I have are the V1s. So with that said, let's dig into the detail. Packaging in both is typical Apple, understated, looks good, white box with a picture of the AirPods on each of the boxes. What I did notice actually was on the original AirPods, the picture that you see on top of the box is exactly the size they are in real life. So when you open the box, they're that size. However, on the AirPod Pros, that wasn't the case. The picture is actually slightly bigger than the AirPod Pros themselves. If there's one thing Apple do get right, it is their packaging. They obviously spend a lot of time on it. And digging into the AirPods here, we have the envelope, or sort of an envelope, which just has terms and conditions in it. Not going to go into the detail on that. The AirPods themselves and the case, the rechargeable case for the AirPods. And then finally, the lightning cable, USB to lightning cable to actually charge the AirPods themselves. And that's all that actually comes in the box. In terms of the AirPod Pros, it's a very similar affair. The box is slightly bigger, the envelope with the terms and conditions, and designed by Apple in California. Then we have the case itself with the AirPod Pros inside, although that case is actually can be used induction charging. Some people like to call it wireless charging. And then you have your lightning cable to charge if you don't have an induction charger. And then finally you have some silicone ear tips, and they come in different sizes depending on what fits you best. So the only real difference between the two boxes are the silicone ear tips that you get inside the box. As for the cases themselves, they're very well made, of a tough white plastic, and they're susceptible to some light scratching. On the back you have a Bluetooth pairing button. Simply hold that down for a few seconds and AirPods will go into pairing mode. You'll see a little LED there which tells you how much charge your AirPods or your case have. And then in terms of the AirPod Pros, the difference being that the LED is on the front, it's a slightly bigger case. You still have the pairing button on the back, of course, and the hinge mechanism themselves is very good. I've been opening my original AirPods time and time again, and there's never been any problem with the hinges. In terms of size, I know some people complain that the AirPod Pros were slightly bigger, the case was too big, but actually it's not that much bigger once you turn it sort of vertically. And it still fits in the small pocket of my jeans, as you can see here. It doesn't cause me any problems, and that's generally where I keep my AirPods, both the AirPod Pros and the normal AirPods. In terms of the earbuds themselves, they're very well made, similar material to the case itself. The V2 versions have two microphones, an optical sensor to determine whether or not the AirPods are in your ear, and also the W1 chip. As you can see from this illustration, this is the V2 AirPods. You have the two microphones, the W1 chip, dual accelerometers, and you'll notice how the battery is pretty much the length of the stem. The AirPods are very light, each weighing just 4 grams. You don't notice you have them in at all. They are very comfortable when you wear them. In terms of the AirPod Pros, they are similar. You can see that they're more stubby and have a more bulbous top, along with the silicone earpieces. This image shows just what's gone into these AirPod Pros. There's a lot of tech fitted into such a small case, and that's a pretty amazing engineering feat. They are a touch heavier than the AirPods. They are 5.4 grams, but again, Not something you really notice. They are comfortable. They come with dual microphones, an inward-facing microphone, dual optical sensors. They have a motion detecting accelerometer, a speech detecting accelerometer, and a force sensor along with Apple's H1 chip. As you can see here, that actually they're very similar in size. As mentioned before, the AirPod Pros are slightly more stubby and have that bulbous top, but they are not that much bigger. In this part of the video, I'm going to make myself look very silly by bouncing my head around quite a lot, just to show you how well they stay in the ears. I don't have a problem with them. I know some people have a slight problem with the AirPods falling out, but it's certainly not a problem for me. The AirPod Pros fit in the ear well. They do fit slightly better than the AirPods for obvious reasons, because they have that snug fit and they feel, more tight. And so, I'm definitely not going to have a problem with these falling out my ears. And I don't notice I'm wearing them, as I've mentioned before. Both sets are very comfortable for me. Again, subjective, everyone's ear size is different. Call quality on both AirPods and AirPod Pros are very good. In fact, I prefer to use AirPods to make and receive calls, just because I can hear the person on the other end a lot better. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to give you a demo of the AirPods microphone. For some reason, after 2 years, they stopped working. I don't really know why, but all the person on the other end could hear was static. However, I can give you a demo of how the microphone sounds on the AirPod Pros. So this is the audio coming from the AirPod Pros. I've never had any problems with people hearing me, the recipient hearing me at all. In fact, most of the time they don't even know I'm using my AirPod Pros, even outside. They just seem to work really well. So this is how the audio sounds from the AirPod Pros. So I'm now back to my normal microphone that I use for recording. The AirPods themselves, in terms of their microphone, it was very good. The AirPod Pros and the AirPods microphone are very similar. You're not going to be able to tell much difference, and I never had any problems with the AirPods until such times that the microphones gave up on me. As mentioned previously, the silicone ear tips on the iPad Pros come in different sizes. They are relatively easy just to pull off. You have to give them a little bit of a yank just to pull them off, like so. And then you simply take whichever size you prefer and then just push it back on. Initially, when you put them on, you kind of feel like they might come off again, but they are pretty stuck there. They're not going to move once you push them back in place. Just give them a little tug just to make sure you have got them in place properly. The AirPods don't come with any silicone tips, obviously. They're pretty standard, one size, and hopefully they will fit in your ear. I know that some people have a problem with them in terms of the fit. Sometimes they're a bit loose. In my case, I haven't had that problem. Pretty straightforward. Pop them in your ear, you're good to go. Pricing for the AirPod Pros come in at £249 or $249 plus tax. And the AirPods have two versions, one at £169 or $159 without a wireless charging case, or £199 or $199 plus tax for the wireless charging case. AirPod Pro's battery lasts about 4.5 hours for a full charge, whilst the AirPods last for around 5 hours, so they do get a little bit more, probably because they don't have the active noise cancelling. However, both cases that they come in can hold a further 24 hours worth of listening time, so you can always top up your AirPods on the go. Also, just 10 minutes worth of charging will give you around about an hour's worth of listening time or talk time, which is pretty good. So it's probably worth pointing out at this time that I bought the original AirPods when they first came out, a couple of weeks after they'd been released by Apple. And then the AirPods Pro I bought last year. I happened to be walking past the Apple store and I went in to find out if they had stock, and luckily they'd had stock delivered that day. So I've had more than enough time to test both of them out, compare them, and I would say that they're both really great devices. for in-ears, to make them so small, it does amaze me how Apple does some of this stuff, especially in the AirPod Pros, just how much detail goes into them. They're very well made. And one of the concerns about the AirPod Pros for me is that I don't really like in-ear headphones. I find that I can get earache. It's not earache, but it's more just they get uncomfortable after a period of time, you know, pushing them into your ear. But interestingly, I found with the AirPod Pros, I didn't get any of that. And I still can't figure out why I'm not getting that. I mean, admittedly, maybe they don't go in your ear as far as the other ones, but I think the silicone tips help, and it just makes them comfortable. I forget that, you know, most of the time that I'm wearing them, I use them a lot. I use them in bed and I listen to Audible books, and I can even lay with my head on the side and with the AirPod Pros in on the pillow, and it's not a problem. I often wake up with them still in my ears and the audio book's still playing, and then the next day I have to figure out where I left off. But that's how comfortable they are. The AirPods, the original AirPods are great as well. In terms of battery life, both are good. However, I will point out that my original AirPods lost significant amount of battery over the amount of times, you know, over the time that I used them. And, you know, where I was getting 5 or 6 hours, it suddenly was going down to like, you know, 2 hours. And in some respects, you know, I use them a lot. And I think with such a small battery, you've got to expect that it's going to deplete after so much use. More so than, say, for example, a phone battery or a larger battery. So just take that into consideration. They're not going to last forever. You will see degradation in the battery. But of course, my AirPod Pros are still holding up very well because I haven't had that much longevity with them in terms of the original ones. In terms of sound quality, they're both great. I think the AirPod Pros are just a touch better than the AirPods. I prefer the sound. The clarity is slightly better. It has a slightly deeper bass to it, you know, not over the top, but a nice sort of punch to it. These things are not going to beat over-the-ear headphones like Sennheisers or your Sonys or things like that. And I think as long as you manage your expectations in terms of, you know, you understand that these types of in-ear earphones are not going to be over-the-head canned headphones. It's as simple as that. You just can't, because the drivers are much bigger, etc., etc. So as long as you manage your expectations, I think you'll be pleased. I know I was. In terms of volume, they're both absolutely fine. They go more than loud enough, certainly for me. I don't need it any louder than that. I suppose that's subjective, depending on how loud you like your music, and I guess whether you're in or outdoors. Noise cancelling on the AirPod Pros is excellent. Again, you know, it's not going to compete with, say, you know, Bose QC35s or your Sonys over the ear again noise cancelling headphones. They're just not going to be able to compete. But for something that is so small, I mean, really, to be able to offer that sort of noise cancellation in such a tiny package. You know, sometimes I've been out in the garden with these headphones, especially since we've been in lockdown. The sun's been out, just wanted to get outside for a while. And, you know, I've got some neighbours around me and they, you know, mowing the lawn, or, you know, the kids are out sort of playing. And so I put these headphones in, put the noise cancelling on, boom, a lot of it is gone. You know, there's not much. I mean, you can hear some stuff, but it's considerably quieter. And it's just a joy. The audio sounds great. And the fact that you can just quickly switch the noise cancelling on and off by just grabbing either left or right stalk of the AirPod Pros and just holding, and then you'll hear a beep and it'll go off, or a beep and it'll go on. And it's really, really straightforward. So yeah, I really like that. In terms of choice, I love both these earphones, no doubt about it. But my personal choice is definitely the AirPod Pros. Yes, they're more expensive, but for my use, I think they're great. I love the noise cancellation. I love the fact that you can just turn that on and off. I like how comfortable they are, and they just work. They really do. The only thing that I might say is it would be nice to be able to connect more than one device at the same time. So for example, sometimes I'm on my phone listening to audio and then I switch to my Mac, rather than it, you know, just be able to flick across.
I do have to fiddle around and say, switch from one device to another. So it would be nice if it just recognised the being able to connect to two devices at the same time. The big question: do I think that they're worth your money? Absolutely, I think they are worth your money. Either the AirPods or the AirPods Pro. Neither of these, are particularly cheap, but I think you would feel it was money well spent, and you'll get a lot of enjoyment from them. You can take them anywhere. They come in their own case, their own charging case, and I just put them in my pocket and take them everywhere. So yeah, money well spent, and I think it would be a wise decision if you did spend the money on them. So with that said, I hope the video was useful to you. I hope it offered some insight into the two different earphones, and it would help you to make a choice on whether or not you decide to go forward with them. If you do, enjoy. But in the meantime, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you think the content is useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.
If you guys have any questions about the video, or I've left something out and you need answers to it, please let me know in the comments and I will do my best to answer. And for those of you who do have AirPods or AirPod Pros, tell us what you think below and let the other viewers know as well.